All right, we are the next day and this is how it is cured, and I'm actually really loving how bright and vibrant some of it is and how it's mellowed out in some areas. So I'm going to put a layer of trees. I've got Prussian blue and some black acrylic paint. The Prussian blue is the same blue that I used for the background, but I wanted to darken it a little bit so that you could see it along the background. But also I didn't want it completely black because I'm gonna do another layer with black on it. So I want this to be lighter than the black, but darker than the background. So I'm gonna put one, I want some right against that pillar of the Northern Lights there so that we can see it. Now when you're doing trees, make sure that you don't do them all the same height or exactly the same width. All the trees are going to be different. You're going to be seeing more details from some and not as many from others. And then the bottom, I'm just going to fill it in with this same color. So I'm not too worried. I'm more worried about getting a nice tree line here than I am about filling the bottom, because this is the part that's going to be more visible. And I just do that line just for the, English is hard today, just for the trunk of the tree as a guide for where I'm gonna go. So it doesn't need to be super thin. Do one a little taller here. Smaller one right in there. Actually, no, I'm going to do a taller one here. And the brush that I'm using is a filbert brush, and I find it perfect for this. I love the shape of the bristles. It makes making evergreen trees perfect. And if you're too intimidated to start right on your piece, then just start on a piece of scrap paper. You could, I mean, I would even do it on the tablecloth that I'm using to line my table, just somewhere to practice, just to take some of the intimidation out of it. It's just a little bit taller. And you can see I don't skimp with the paint on my brush. I've got a lot of paint on my brush. And I want to see some of the Northern Lights through the opening there, but towards the bottom I am gonna fill that in. And I just pounce to fill it in because I like the texture of it. Some of the texture you're gonna see through the resin layers, some of it you're not. But I definitely want to be covering up these, the glass glitter that we had on the first layer, because I don't want to be able to see that through the trees. So this bottom part, I'm just using my brush to fill it in with just downward strokes, because the next layer of trees on top of it is gonna cover this. So I just want the glass glitter covered. It doesn't necessarily need to be pounced on here. And then I also want to do some of the sides because I want to have my texture going around the side as well. And I think I'm going to do another tree that's right here, right on the edge. It's barely darker than the sky, so it's not something that's super visible, but I just like knowing that it's there. So it just adds some continuity around the piece as well. There we go. I'm gonna let that dry completely, and then we are gonna do our next resin layer. I'm not gonna do any green with this next resin layer. I'm just gonna do some of the pink and blue and not as much of the green. I don't want to cover anything up. I just wanna add some different colored highlights just to make it a little bit more interesting. So we'll see you in that video.